Playing on a Budget is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the best Magic the Gathering singles and sealed retailer on the internet, GatheringMagic.com, your #1 source for Magic the Gathering news and content, and RogueDeckBuilder.com, my personal channel filled with innovative and entertaining Magic the Gathering rogue brews. Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com and with this week's episode of Playing on a Budget. That's right, I'm going to do a Playing on a Budget with this deck because it does fit into the budget $100 mark, which is exactly where we want this for this particular video series to be as competitive as possible at $100. And there's no better deck to do this than the good old Electrostatic Pummeler. This was a popular strategy when Kaladesh came out, and there are two cards that I really want to try with this particular archetype that just came out, and those are the Bloodlust Inciter and the Combat Celebrant. A few weeks ago we did the red-white humans with the Bloodlust Inciter and Combat Celebrant, and it didn't work out too well in that shell. I ended up liking other cards instead of the Combat Celebrant and have more of a go-wide type strategy, but in this particular deck, it is brutal to go a turn 3 Electrostatic Pummeler into a turn 4 Combat Celebrant, give it haste, and then if you have any sort of pump spell like the Blossoming Defense, it a lot of times is just lethal right there with the Pummeler being able to pump up just to a 3/3 even. Or what's even better is just when you put it on like a Voltaic Brawler. So let's just go down the deck list though. We're going to start off with this 20 lands, being a lot of basics, so 5 forests and 3 mountains, as well as a playset of the Aether Hubs, the Cinder Glades, and the Game Trail. So we don't really have a high curve. We curve out at 3, with one exception of Arlinn Cord being 4, but we do have Attune with Aethers and Servant of the Conduits to help get us there. The Bloodlust Inciter, Attune with Aether are going to be our 1-drops. Blossoming Defense is definitely not something we're gonna put out on turn 1. It's usually going to be played on like turn 4 or turn 5 when we're trying to go lethal to protect our stuff. On the 2-drop slot, we have Longtusk Cub, Servant of the Conduit, and Voltaic Brawler, all being a playset. And these are really good. Voltaic Brawler and Longtusk Cub are extremely good with Bloodlust Inciter, because on turn 2, you give a Longtusk Cub haste. You've effectively created a 3/3, or at least got some energy out of the Longtusk Cub. If you give the Voltaic Brawler haste, it swings in for 4 the turn it comes out, and you still do have an energy left over. The Servant of the Conduit is okay with the Bloodlust Inciter because it's something you can actually do on turn 2. So you can still give the Servant haste and swing in for 2. And then as the game progresses though, the Combat Celebrant and Electrostatic Pummeler having haste is extremely powerful, as a hasted Combat Celebrant, even on turn 3, can exert to give Voltaic Brawler that's already pumped a energy into Voltaic Brawler another swing. And it also taps the Bloodlust Inciter. So, I mean, that's a thing. Funny thing that happened in one of my games that I was playtesting was double Combat Celebrants. So the one attacked in and exerted, the other one did not. And then you're able to untap the unexerted Combat Celebrant and then exert that one. And then tap the exerted one and attack again for the 3rd attack. So, because the Combat Celebrant only says if it hasn't been exerted. So it can still attack if it gets untapped again, and you just can't exert it again to get another additional attack phase. Technically, I guess you can exert it, but let's see. No, it hasn't been, yeah. So you don't get it infinites. 2 Combat Celebrants doesn't make an infinite combo because it's already been exerted, but 2 of them are still fun because you get 3 attacks. And I think it was one game, it was just a Bloodlust Inciter and 2 of the Celebrants, and that was a ton of damage on that. I think it was turn 4, and one of them had a Blossoming Defense on it too, so it was pretty sweet. Another fun thing about the double Combat Celebrants too is if one exerted the turn before and then you cast another one and give it haste to the Bloodlust Inciter, you can exert that one to again untap the Combat Celebrant, exert it, untap, attack again. So for whatever that's worth. So anyway, the pump spells we have in our deck are going to be the Blossoming Defense, gives +2/+2 and hexproof, so it's going to protect against Fatal Push and Grasp of Darkness, as well as Harness Lightnings, Magma Sprays, Shocks, things like that. And then we're going to run 4 Invigorated Rampage. That's going to give 2 of our creatures +4/+0. So again, you can see how lethal this can get with just the Cubs, the Brawlers, and then if you have cards like the Electrostatic Pummeler and Combat Celebrant. It's very, very easy to just finish off the game with one Invigorated Rampage. And then we are running Synchronized Strike, because Synchronized Strike untaps two creatures. So this is perfect again with the Combat Celebrant. It's also not bad with the Bloodlust Inciter. If you had to give something haste, you can then untap the Bloodlust Inciter to give it +2/+2, and it can still attack in with a 3/3. So it's pretty juicy with a, say if you somehow get flooded, get all the way to turn 6, have 6 mana out, you cast an Electrostatic Pummeler, then you give it haste with a Bloodlust Inciter, then you can dump the mana with Synchronized Strike, or even another scenario, you go Bloodlust Inciter, and then another card, then Servant taps into it, and you can untap the Servant and the Bloodlust, and swing in with both of them, and still swing in with whatever you gave haste. So, pretty juicy there with the Synchronized Strike. So there's the other 2 slots for Arlinn Cord. Arlinn Cord can give Vigilance to the Combat Celebrant, and Vigilance and haste, and +2/+2. So again, you can attack in with the Exert for 6 damage right there. It didn't tap, so you get another attack with itself. And so just by itself, Combat Celebrant can dish off 12 damage with an Arlinn Cord. So onto the sideboard. The sideboard is kind of interesting. We have 3 mountains in here, and I'll explain why. If we do bring in Bristling Hydras and Glorybringers, we want our curve up. We want to be able to hit land drops more consistently. So we want to go up to 23 lands, and therefore we need to bring in the 3 mountains, and then bring in Glorybringers, the Bristling Hydras, and the Harness Lightnings. I tend to bring this package in against the decks that I just know the Electrostatic Pummeler and the Combat Celebrant are not going to work. Usually we'll keep in a couple Celebrants, cut the Pummelers, cut the Bloodlust Inciters, and cut the majority of the Invigorated Rampages. Sometimes keep the Synchronized Strike because they still work very well with Glorybringer, but those are the cuts you'll make. And you can keep in the Blossoming Defense just to keep those particular cards alive, and then you turn more of it into an energy that's more of a mid-range type feel, so it's better versus like Mardu, for example, as Glorybringer is a very, very key piece to that. So again, this is a pretty budget deck. The most expensive card is the Glorybringer. It's not a necessity if you just build the main. As the main of this deck, the most expensive card is Arlinn Cord, around $7, and everything else is pretty much bulk rares, bulk mythics, or commons and uncommons. So we're going to go ahead and queue this up in a league and see how well we do. We'll have the timestamps in the description as well as in the comments, so you can follow along with what game we are in or skip ahead. All right, let's get on to the first matchup. All right, so match number 1. This is a keepable hand. We have Game Trail Forest, the Bloodlust Inciter. So no pump spells, which is fine. We do have the Arlinn Cord. This is going to be a very aggressive hand. We're going to lead off with actually the Longtusk Cub most likely. So the Bloodlust Inciter into the Longtusk Cub. And Prairie Stream, hopefully this is probably going to be a perfect matchup. Usually all of the blue and white decks are pretty good for this particular deck. They don't run a lot of ways to remove early creatures. So they can rely on like cards like Censor. The problem is we are on the draw. So a Censor turn 2 is going to be powerful, but you're still going to run into it. So it's still a card out of their hand. But these are annoying draws for sure. On the play, Censor's pretty bad versus us, but so maybe, no, we'll still do Longtusk Cub. If it gets censored, it gets censored. We still get in for 1 if it does. Alrighty, so next turn though, we do have Voltaic Brawler. Arlinn Cord can actually make some wolves that we can attack him with, and my opponent does. Alright, so this is Marvel. We do need a race. This is quite a bit of damage. The good thing about this deck is we can do a ton of damage. So it's just Bant, Aetherworks, Marvel. Another okay card. It does gain us some energy. And let's get a mountain here. So then this puts out the Brawler. We'll give the Brawler haste and pump it. And the next turn we can go with Arlinn and just make a wolf, and then... Oh, is that what I want, is to go with the wolf? Might just decide to pump. We could be in trouble if an Aetherix Marvel comes out here. And no Aetherix Marvel. So I think I'll attack first. There could be more counters. Getting flooded, which is not fun. Yeah, I still think Arlinn's better than the Voltaic Brawler here. I don't think my opponent can flash anything but a cast out, which might happen on the Voltaic Brawler. But we'll make a wolf with Arlinn. So it could run into another sensor, but I think we have to go for it here. There's still cards out of the Marvel's hand. I mean, if Marvel isn't the best at drawing, Rogue Refiner's good at drawing into the Marvels. They do need some key pieces. Woodward Puzzlenaut's of course good because it provides all the energy in one card for the Marvel. We could get Fumigated here. That's why I think it's still better to go Arlinn. And next turn we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We actually have lethal next turn. So my opponent's digging for a Fumigate. They run usually one in the main, one in the side, I think is what the Bant Aetherworks runs. Because there's a lot of matchups where Fumigate's just dead. I mean, with zombies on the rise, I can see more justification for more Fumigates, but historically, these lists have only ran like one in the main, so hopefully we do a good job avoiding it. So one card on top, though, so you'd think it'd be the card it would save. So if a hub comes out and a Marvel, then my opponent can use the Marvel. And if that's the case, we're in trouble. If not, a Fumigate's really the only thing. Okay, so Tamiyo's okay because he has to use it. He has to use a -2 for Tamiyo though. Yeah. So I might actually use Arlinn to kill Tamiyo. No, we can just attack with the Bloodlust Inciter. And that'll be enough. And is that... No, that's not even close to lethal quite yet. This pumps it up to 2. Then it goes to 4. And we only attacking for 4. So we don't want the Pummeler quite yet. Close. Hate to run into a Fumigate. My opponent did miss a drop. So the better thing to do here is just to Brawler. And yeah, we're still going to pump. And we'll Pummeler. And so I think the best thing to do here is just to attack Tamiyo. Because this is the most I can do is just 4 and then 8 with the Pummeler. So But my opponent has to draw a Fumigate. I do have a little bit of a padding in its Fumigate with another Arlinn, so maybe I don't run out the Electrostatic Pummeler there, but it gives us a lot more of a chance versus... Yeah, there's no Fumigate now. It doesn't have the mana for it. Looks like another Tameo's coming down. Yeah, cast out, and this is lethal. He's going to take Arlinn here. That's the wrong move. Arlinn just wins the game next turn. So... there's an Aether Hub. And that's plenty of damage. Alrighty. Sideboard, in this particular match, I don't think we want anything. You don't want Glorybringers. You don't want Harness Lightnings. Harness Lightnings are okay versus like Rogue Refiners. And because they're running Tameo, so I'd assume that my opponent is going to have more things to do. So Servant of the Conduits and Rogue Refiners. But I don't know that I necessarily care. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Harness Lightning instead of Blossoming Defenses actually is a bit better, because what do they have for spot removal? The thing is, Blossoming Defense is the other way to pump up Electrostatic Pummeler. Yeah, I don't think I make any changes here. Alright, so unfortunately I don't think I can keep this hand. If this was a... No, there's no way I keep this. We're just going to ship it back. And this is much better. Yeah, this is a good hand. There would be very few things I'll ship back here. What I'd like to see, a land would be nice because it guarantees, yep, this is fine. Like, I wouldn't want to ship back a land, and I probably wouldn't ship back even like an Invigorated Rampage. The only thing I'd ship back is like a double Electrostatic Pummeler, another. But the land off the top is good here. Allows for the Bloodlust Inciter, which is one of our most powerful cards with this hand. Because it gives us the Longtusk Cub, which can start generating us that energy. And then we have close to lethal just with the Blossoming Defense. There's another Pummeler. See if this gets censored. You just run it out. You don't play around censors. I don't anyway in this particular matchup. They're only good on the play. It's such a bad card on the draw. So that's why it's worked against us 2 games in a row. Still a turn though where Servant didn't come out, or an Attune with Aether. There's an Attune, for example, but it's a turn late. So our opponent could put out a Servant this turn. Now I could play around a censor now. I think I will. We'll Brawler. Well, that was nice of him to do that right now before I used an energy. Guess I could have put the Blossoming Defense. That was probably the right play to do, is put Blossoming Defense on in response. But now we're going to hit a Pummeler with more energy. And we'll just attack him with the Inciter. Now my opponent has to really fear the Pummeler. I might just cast away right now. Or cast out. Yeah, is this... Let's see. So we have 7, that's 10. I think it's Leaf... No. Yes. No. 3, 6, 9. We can only pump it up to 9. Is the problem. No, that's lethal. That's 18 damage. So we have lethal on board. So we'll go Pummeler. Number 2. And that gives us 3 pumps. Oh, no, that's not lethal. I don't have double strike. So, no. See, 3 to 6 to 12. Right? So maybe I should have played that differently. Because, let's see. So I pump, that's 3. Then we go to 6. Oh, no. Jeez. That's 24. Because it goes to 7 energy and we'll be at a 3-3. Then it goes to... Or we'll be at a 6-6. And then... Man, it's late. Okay, then from 7 to 4, it goes to a 12-12. And just like that... A turn 5 kill with Censor, Aether Meltdown, and Cast Out. Not much more control my opponent could have done there. Okay, we'll go on to the next match. Alrighty, so here we are in match number 2. Yes, we'd like to play first. And this is keepable with the double land, and we have Attune. Yeah, we'll still do that because it gets a Bloodlust Inciter out and the Voltaic Brawler. The Pummeler will come into play late, but wow, we've been lucky to have these Bloodlusts on our opening draw, which is the exact opposite we were having when I was playing the Red-White Humans. So we'll just go ahead and show this and throw out the Bloodlust Inciter. And we will proceed to attacking for 4 on turn number 2. Aw, not that card. Well, that changes things. I don't think it does. I think that... Oh, we wouldn't have been able... Without top decking the land there, we wouldn't have been able to do the Voltaic Brawler. See if he's got the Fatal Push. My opponent does not have the Fatal Push. Okay, that is good news. So turn 2, he's swinging for 4. And there is the Constrictor, which is a bit of an issue, is a bit of a problem. We have the Aether Hub, though. We can go for the Pummeler, and then that really puts my opponent in a weird position. Or we can just go Attune, because that allows for an Arlinn chord the turn after. So I think I'm going to go with the Attune. We're going to go grab a Forest, Mountain. Which one will we need more? Invigorate? Yeah, just in case we'll get another. It doesn't matter at this point, I don't think. So this could have actually came into play this turn anyway. Yeah. Alright, so the Walking Ballista is a bit of an issue because it kills my Voltaic Brawler. Or Rishkar is really good here. And this is probably a matchup where I'll need to sideboard. So there's the Ballista. So my opponent does need to pop down. What just happened? Oh! My opponent just misclicked. He double tapped, lag tapped on the Walking Ballista. That's happened to me before. So I'm pretty sure my opponent should attack me with the Constrictor. There's another Brawler. This makes things really interesting. What I'm going to do here, though, is just going to go Arlinn. And we're going to target the Bloodlust Inciter. And barring a Rishkar, this should be over. Rishkar is kind of weird, though, because my opponent would have to decide where. And I doubt there's a Rishkar, because the Walking Ballista was just going to kill the Voltaic Brawler. See if something gets another. Okay, there's the Walking Ballista. This one would take care of Brawler coming out. So I guess it would be a pretty decent hand. But I'm surprised Arlinn didn't get shot down this time. And that's lethal. So I'm not even going to show the... Okay, there's a concession anyway, but I'm not going to show the Electrostatic Pummeler. Not sure that that's the right route to go. I think that Bristling Hydra is pretty decent in this one, and we do need the Harness Lightning, so I think that we do have to just meld over to... The Celebrant's really bad in this. So is the Brawler, the Pummeler. The Pummeler probably will stick in as a one of. No, we need to get rid of all of them. Bloodlust Inciders are bad too, especially if Liliana's come in. So I can keep back one Invigorated Rampage, or we could keep back one Pummeler. And I'm thinking the Invigorated Rampage is the right call, and just take out the Pummeler completely. Because the Pummeler still could pump into enough energy, and then pumped with just a Blossoming Defense, but I don't see it happening. So we're gonna go more of a control route. Try to bank on Glorybringer. Can't keep this hand. We do have the Glorybringers, and I mean it's pretty bad, but I'll keep it. Well, we definitely want Arlinn. Got the Constrictor draw. So I need a Glorybringer as quickly as possible. Rishkar is or either one, the Ballista or the Rishkar is going to be huge here. So there's Ballista. Feel like it's Cub here. Now I want to bait Alright, so Longtusk Cub does get the... So I'll get in with the Servant. Now Gonti hurts because of the Death Touch. Well, we can push through. We can give our opponent a lot of juicy cards too because they are slightly an energy based deck, so Glorybringer is pretty nice. Especially at 4 lands. I would love to hit... Well, I'd still land off from hitting Glorybringer. But Gonti is just something I can't push through. Kind of difficult too with the +1/+1 counter, or the 4 mana to put a +1 counter on the Walking Ballista. Can shoot down my Arlinn Cord and still be alive. That will take the turn though. So best case scenario probably would be a land. And we did get a land off the top. So I think that's going to be my play. So we have to shoot down. Yeah, I've got to shoot down the... Still weird with Gonti. Yeah, this is a very, very awkward... Verge Gear Hulk is pretty much lethal. So it's going Gonti, huh? I don't think I want to use the defense. Jeez. Okay, so Walking Ballista on 3 will do it. Yeah, while keeping it alive. Well, the good news is we have lands for Glorybringer. The bad news is my opponent still has 3 cards in hand. And it's going to be very hard to push through the Gonti. And that's a very beautiful thing. Because my opponent wants to keep keep his Constrictor alive. Got to shoot down right now. And I think I'm okay with pushing through with this. Just for 7? I mean, I could get in there for some more, but... Yeah. We'll keep everything back. Possibly that wasn't the right play. And I should have just used Invigorated Rampage while I could get 4 damage through. But I'm thinking it's going to push more damage through when Gonti blocks. Harness Lightning would be amazing off the top. That's tough with the Cub. Well, I got a Cub too, so... So yeah, this did push through more. Unfortunately, that Siphoner is going to draw an extra card. The Gonti is another additional card. Wonder if there is a Gear Hulk just chilling in my opponent's hand, waiting to come out. And we'll definitely double block here. I don't need the Servant anymore. Well, the Gonti is definitely good in this mirror. I like this on the play, though. I think I'm going to be able to push through. So again, Harness Lightning or... we do need the Glorybringer at this point. Not a fan of Attune. It'll thin us out. I guess I should have looked at my deck right there to see what my opponent has. And just done some deductive reasoning to see exactly what the card was. But I have a feeling it's a Glorybringer. Yep. Now, if I draw a Glorybringer of my own, I can kill my own Glorybringer. Or we can go a Game Trail. That works as well. Yeah, still just can't push through that Gonti. That Death Touch. Don't have anything with First Strike or anything like that. Gonna get killed by my own Glorybringer that I desperately needed. Synchronized Strike. That's where I like kind of Wrangle too. If I had Wrangle in the sideboard, take control of my own dude. That's gonna be game. Alright, so sideboard. I think I like my chances. It's too tough with the Walking Ballistas to really go this. We could though. Maybe I speed things up. On the draw or on the play. Yeah, let's... These are just so bad versus so many of the cards is the problem. It worked first game. I want the Harness Lightnings for sure still in here though. So maybe 2 Celebrants out. Pummeler dies to a lot of... wonder what's better here, the Arlinn or the Synchronized Strikes. Well, I'm going to try to just capitalize on being quicker than my opponent. I'm going to keep it. I'm not a fan of this hand. We only have 15 lands left in our deck. We have plenty of mana, but I do have game here, so we're just going to lead off with the Cinder Glades. Need to avoid drawing into another land. Possibly that was a mulligan. Pummeler is a great draw, so we'll go ahead and go Brawler. Well, we didn't avoid the land. Fatal Push is extremely good here too. I still think that we could trick a Harness Lightning. No, my opponent has to use it right now. Yeah, we'll get all the energy here. No, he won't. Because it just fizzles. So it does use 3 energy. We don't get any energy with that. And we only get it for 2, so yeah, those Walking Ballistas, Grasp and Walking Ballista, and again, the 5-lander probably should have mulliganed. I have a lot of Attunes still in the deck. Attunes aren't dead though, because it at least can give us a... Not Gonti. That's going to be game. I don't really have a lot of cards that can push through Gonti at this point. I need Invigorated Rampage. That will work. But a lot of the cards that now go through are not going to do it. So possibly keep the Harness Lightning? I don't think so. I don't think I keep the Harness Lightning for something like Gonti. There is a Cub. Still doesn't do a lot. I have to make this trade. I think I have to push that through and just hope for some more energy to try to, but it's not gonna get the job done. So too slow, and my opponent did have the controlling draw. This is a tough matchup just with the grass, well, we have Blossoming Defenses. But Walking Ballista on 2 now kills both of them, if my opponent so chooses. Well, yeah, my opponent can sure draw the Walking Ballistas. 2 game 1, 2 game 2, and 2 game 3. Well, there's still hope. Not with that card. Would have been nice to have a turn early instead of those lands. Would have saved both of our dudes. There's Ob, which I don't know if Ob Nixilis is beatable at this point. And there's the pump spells. Is helping us by drawing cards with Ob Nixilis. Good news is there's not a lot of walking ballistas left for the Winding Constrictor. And that is not my cub. That is his cub. Well, I guess I get a cub. Yeah, there's no way I push through this. Gonti's just too good. Unless I can race it, which is very possible. It does come down to that mulligan. That should have been a mulligan. You can't keep a 5-lander. It requires a lot, too many things going on here. And we've only even drawn, yeah, just one land after that. There's my Voltaic Brawler. So Rampage doesn't even push through here. And there's a... Jeez. Okay. Well, Walking Ballistas. .deck. We'll go on to the next match. Alrighty. Match number 3. I can keep a 1-lander when it has a thing called Attune. This is a decent hand. We can go get a red. And then we have Servant of the Conduit that can come out after that. So I'm not opposed to this hand. And it is... most likely I'm going to put out a Bloodlust Inciter. Huh. I could go Arlinn Cord here. That actually does seem the better play. And the Bloodlust Inciders are kind of weak here. I'd rather have anything other cards. They're good on turn number 1 or turn number 2 without like a Servant. But see what we're up against. All right, it's going to be some sort of Marvel deck, so this is perfect. So we have... I need a way to push through. I could kill this Servant. I mean, Marvel's probably coming out next turn. Kill this. Put out a Pummeler. I do need to push through. I really do need to kill a Servant, I believe. I think that's the better play. Put out a Bloodlust Inciter and a Combat Celebrant. Or we could go the Pummeler. Pummeler can get haste, so can the Celebrant, though. We can give 2 things haste next turn. I think it's Pummeler. So Marvel could come out and ruin my day. But Marvel's got to get lucky and get Ulamog. This could be a version that's running like Kozilek's Return. I think my opponent use a lot because I can pump. I think we're just going to let that happen. All right, do we just win next turn? Not sure if I can dish off 22 damage. That doesn't help. I can give it haste, does it matter? We're going to do as much damage as possible. I don't want to exert this, so let me do the math here. So I'm tagging him for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, let's see what happens. Whoops, should have done it the other way. Because we have it haste anyway, so if I gave haste to the Bloodlust Inciter... No, we need Vigilance. So that was my bad. This gives haste. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, that is going to be one off, I think. That was my bad. So 6. Oh, that is so bad. I messed up. I messed up. Whoops. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, because this does give haste. Yep. Ah! So now my opponent's still in a bad spot, though. Has to go Marvel. And has the Marvel, but it's got to get very... What in the world is Chandra? It has to get Chandra here. Alright. Okay, so it doesn't cost me, though. For some reason, I was thinking that I need to give... But then I was like, I can't re-attack. But yeah, I just was not thinking. It is late at night. Alright, so I don't need like Harness Lightnings or Glorybringers at all. I don't even know if my opponent is just what the other color is. We didn't see a blue. We didn't see any Aether Hubs, or did we? No, I think it was just all green and green-red land. So I don't think there's any point to bring in the Harness Lightnings. They're okay at taking care of servants early. I mean, you can make the point of taking out like a Synchronized Strike, but yeah, this is a very, very powerful hand. So yeah, we do very well against Marvel decks. Gives us something to do with the Attune on turn 1, so that was a decent draw. So I think we'll actually go Cub next turn. Because this allows us to be proactive. Well, there's one Harness Lightning out of the way. Didn't like to see this game trail, but We'll get a Pummeler. Now, if my opponent doesn't have another Harness Lightning, we're in great shape. Huh. Well, that's fine. Do we pump up right now? I think you're actually still alive. Because that just negates it, and then I can only pump it up twice. So that goes to 10 and then 20. So my opponent was actually still alive. Right? Yeah, I only have 2 pumps with the... Most I can do is 20. Okay, so let's go on to game number 4. Alrighty, match number 4. Yes, we'd like to play first. Okay. We have 14 lands left in 43 cards. We're gonna mulligan this one. This is a decent hand. We don't want a double Celebrant, so we'll put that one on bottom. Start off with the Forest. We have a Cub. I like leading off with the Cub. Wandering Funeral. So this is going to be a more difficult matchup with the blue-red, as it has a lot of removal. It's a nice card. I'm actually not going to cast anything here, as I'd like to just keep the Blossoming Defense. Don't want to run into a Censor. Fortunately, we didn't hit land. Still don't want to run anything out. I'd rather keep my guy alive. Yeah, this is probably Jeskai Tower. Game Trail is awkward because it comes into play tapped. At this point, we do want to go Brawler. This is, because this is Glimmer coming down here, is the alternative. All right, so yeah, so this gets disallowed, but also doesn't allow for a Glimmer. And we'll do the same thing, because this is lethal next turn. And a Void Shatter. Okay. And I will use this. Could get blown out here by a double Harness Lightning and a counterspell. Or a Censor here. Yep. But I still think it was good to go for it. 3 cards in my opponent's hand. We're in Torrential Gearhulk range. So I am going to go for... I don't know what to go for here. Probably just a Servant. Maybe the Pummeler was the right play because that would have been lethal. Yeah, we'll go Pummeler now. This allows us to play around Censors at least. And there's another Void Shatter. And my opponent does have the mana. That's fine. If my opponent does want to switcheroo and trade with the Wandering Fumarole, I'm okay with that. Crazy. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely okay with that. We'll go another Cub. Because now it doesn't have a blocker for the Cub. Which, here comes a Glimmer. Oh, cycling a Censor. So still hasn't found a Torrential Gearhulk. Okay, so I'm going to get it above range. Well, I thought above range of... a Harness Lightning. Harness Lightning would be able to do 5. All right, so I'm going to put out Pummeler. And that one gets disallowed. Sure. So I'm glad I didn't go for the Blossoming Defense there. And, wow, we grinded that one out. So, not going to make any changes at all. Yeah, I don't think we needed to dish off burst damage. I think the best way is just to grind. And if that's the case, well, yeah, I think our mana is still okay on the draw. I just think there's going to be too much hate for the Electrostatic Pummeler. I'd rather have something like the Hydra. That just gets more value if I can somehow... This is where like a Serpapard in the sideboard's nice. Okay, this is good. The Bloodlust Inciters are great. And I still think I want to lead off with the Bloodlust. They get Magma sprayed down. Yep, that's fine. And it gets harnessed. That's perfectly fine too. Now if we just get everything countered from here on out. Gideon. Well, at least we have something to do this turn. And here comes the Gideon. We'll leave up the counter spells for everything else. Nahiri. But the Hydra's going to come in handy here. Yeah, we'll give it hexproof. And it can go get a Torrential Gearhulk with Nahiri, which is pretty bad. I think I'm going to actually go at Nahiri. So pull from tomorrow. Oh, that's rough. The Fumigate. So the second Bristling Hydra was tough. Didn't kill the Gideon either. But Nahiri could have went and got Torrential Gearhulk. So that is probably going to be game off the walkers. Nahiri just absorbs so much damage. And didn't see a Fumigate come in. We are getting flooded. So I'll change back from the Bristling Hydra probably on this game number 3. Because Pummeler would actually be good here. But this Gideon can actually turn the tables quite quickly. Yeah, I don't think anything's coming out of this. Too much lands. So Magma Spray, Harness Lightning. Still make Pummeler pretty tough to... I still like the Bristling Hydras. But is it just... Are they just too slow? Yeah, I still think establishing a threat is better than Electrostatic Pummeler. Go ahead and keep this hand. It's pretty good. The Cub is probably the best 2-drop. And we'll throw it out. But it does die to the Harness Lightning. But we do get the Combat Celebrant out here. Or we might just go for another Cub. Huh. Yeah, I'm going to go Cub. Another Attune. At this point, I still think we'd want another... Yeah, Mountain's fine. Alright, so this gets us around like shocks and everything at Longtusk at 4. Getting to be super annoying here. Okay, so we'll throw out the hub. And the Celebrant's actually better here. They'll most likely get Magma Sprayed or something, but I'd rather have it countered than the Arlinn. Yep, there's the Magma Spray. Cinder Glade, not a card I wanted to draw. So at this point, I'm going to have to run out Arlinn. It most likely will get countered. Negated. Probably shouldn't have ran that out. I think I'm going to run into another Fumigate. Don't have the answer for the cast out. And I think the story of this again is the flood. Too many lands there. Spoke too soon. Have more lands than the Drago deck. Okay, well. 12 lands left in the deck. And I'm sure my opponent has all counter spells. That's a rough one. I think I have to try to chain off. Whatever. We'll see if it gets countered. Yep. There's the Nahiri. That allowed for a Bristling Hydra. That's huge. But I have a feeling there's a Fumigate in my opponent's hand. And there it is. And I think we're controlled out. So I think just one more relevant card and this would have been game. And then that's what we needed for the cast out. Ay, ay, ay. Because now they can just get Torrential Gearhulk. Still hasn't hit a land. So my opponent has a lot of just... There's a pull for 3, most likely. Another Invigorated Rampage theoretically could win it. 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Heroic Intervention is also a good sideboard card for the Fumigate decks. And here comes the Torrential Gearhulk. I think I'm going to let it happen. Goes back to my opponent's hand at the end of turn. So there's a Brawler. Most likely he's going to... Oh, does not get countered. But there's still double Harness Lightnings in there. And also a Torrential Gearhulk. I mean, what happens here is just Torrential Gearhulk comes down and Harness Lightning's in there. Oh, really? I'm surprised at that. Oh, because my opponent's going to play it on their turn? Yeah, because Torrential Gearhulk just wins this. Okay. Surprised the Torrential Gearhulk did not come down there. Another Fumigate that way. Yep. Emblem's a nice touch there. It means I have to attack into Gideon first. And I've seen enough. Alright, I don't know. Story of that game I still think was flooded out too much. Overall it was a pretty fun game. Or pretty fun deck. Yeah, I don't know if I'd change anything to the main. It's very inexpensive. I mean, the playset of Torrential Gearhulks in this deck, or even the Nahiri and Gideon alone, are more than most of this entire deck combined. And it definitely has game. Still think the green black was the green black Walking Ballista deck is probably tough, as they just outclass us every turn. But you can go underneath them for sure with the first turn Inciter into a Cub and start to get that bigger, and then put your opponent on defense. But I think during that match, our opponents did have some very key Fatal Pushes, Grasp of Darknesses, Magma Sprays at the opportune times. And then this last matchup was just ridiculous with the Flood. With the 20-land deck, we should not be seeing so many lands. Anyway, it's been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.